Jim, and I'm not saying he's doing this on purpose, I feel like as an only child with a very impatient parent and a very, I want to say naive wife at the time, because I really was, to, a husband. Jim was my first boyfriend. And yes, I was 30, but he was my first boyfriend. I lived in an area where my size made a difference. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, I have it. The small of my back is itchy. And I always have to apologize for, scratching myself. It's crazy. You guys make me feel like I have to apologize for scratching myself. Like, why? I have dry skin. It is a dry skin place, and I'm in a dry skin age. I'm itchy. Anyhow. You're told your whole life as a woman, and not everybody's told this, but you're told your whole life as a woman that you deserve better. Don't let anybody walk all over you. Don't let people take advantage of you and all these things. And then when you feel like you get to the point where you're being neglected or not cared for, or you deserve better, maybe I have more than the person who's getting beat by their husband, but I have a lot less than the lady who lives in a mansion and has servants. Most of us do. Most of us live in the middle there. And what is our expectation of care? And that's really what it comes down to. If you think that if you were in my situation, that you would do more for yourself despite doctor's orders and despite how you feel, or despite push yourself past where you don't have energy, and do the things, then I hope that you never find out. I really do. But congratulations for you. Maybe you're a stronger person than I am. I don't really know what to tell you. What you have an expectation of how I should have an expectation on my stuff. And that's very entitled. It's funny because this one lady was like, maybe her sisters are entitled as she is, as Jerry thinks she is. And I'm like, that's not a bad thing to feel entitled to certain things, again, expectation of care. But you're talking, besides out of your butt, but you're talking about you think you're entitled because I share 15 minutes of my life a day, or even that I share all of my life. Even if I was a 24-hour, this was a Big Brother house, you feel entitled to tell me how to live my life by what you see, and that's crap. Love you, but it's still crap. I did start to mention something before. Oh, that was it. So, Jimmy, as an only child, and like I said, I catered to him a little bit too much when we got married. I really wanted him to feel at home. I do have that whole thing we talked about how we care for people. My husband, still to this day, knows that if he puts it off long enough, someone else will do it. Because that's the culture that his parents created, and that's the culture that I've continued to fester. I've continued to create that. However, I no longer have the choice to do the things that he can't. I do the things that I can. I only ask him for the things that I can't. I can't do them. It's literally, I can't do them. I can't get into the bathroom by myself, and I definitely can't get into the bathroom with a commode bucket to empty it. Now, when I was first not weight bearing, but don't bend over on that leg was the first thing I was told. I wasn't told to when I first broke the femur, nobody specifically said, don't bear any weight on it. They were saying, don't walk on it and definitely don't bend over. That's what they said. Why didn't they give me more, parameters? I don't know. So, when that happened, I had my rollator and I would use the commode bucket. And when I started to maneuver myself, I would go empty the commode bucket myself. Yeah, I can't get to the toilet fast enough, so I still have to use the commode. But I can take my time to take the buckets for the commode bucket to the toilet and clean it and bring it back and put it back. I was able to do that stuff, and I'm no longer able to do that stuff. So there's some stuff I have to have him do for me. Mom can cook for me. Instant stuff and microwave stuff. But if you really feel like you can't cook for me, you have got to let me know. Don't tell me you'll feed me first. Then I hear plate scraping going into the dishwasher while I still am starving over here or I'm hungry. You know, it just isn't fair. Like, I feel like sometimes I feel like it's not fair. Cancer's not fair, and being sick's not fair, and having a broken bone and being in bed is not fair. But to have a spouse who's going to say they do one thing and then forget you because, I don't know, everything else. You know, people are like on his side, and I'm on his side too. I don't know how to say this, but people are actually against me when it comes to Jim. Because they say, well, he does everything for you. On the contrary, he's asked to do a lot more than he actually does. Because again, he puts off a lot until we forget. Or I'm too tired. But he doesn't do a lot. I mean, he does some. He does, again, I'm grateful for everything he does. But he doesn't do everything. Like, you guys are really giving him, like, crazy amounts of credit. Even when he was working full time. He gets up a half an hour before work. Only a half an hour. No, I'm sorry. He gets up an hour before he has to be there. But Jim likes to leave a half an hour before he has to be to work. He's always done that. That's on him. You want to be to work 20 minutes early? Okay. I'm still going to need you to give me some things in the morning. So it got to the point we did every single possible prep we could the night before. If I didn't sleep that night and I've drank all my water, then I'm going to need water before you go. Every morning before you go, you do make me coffee and you make me breakfast. Because Mom doesn't do breakfast and she's not really a morning person. She gets up and has herself a Danish or microwaves herself an egg cup. But that's the extent. She doesn't really have like the energy or I don't want to say brain capacity isn't right, but like, you know, she's got like morning brain. And she doesn't really want to be making me bacon and eggs while she's waking up, you know? So he's already cooking for himself, and then he makes me breakfast. Sometimes he doesn't want what I ask for. He makes himself something different. But I've told him 1,000 times, I will always, if you say, you know, I don't have time to make oatmeal today, or I don't feel like I can do it, then I will have something else that's easier. In fact, last week, just because he was stressed out about the colonoscopy, I think I ate scrambled eggs like every day for like 3-4 days before the colonoscopy and 2 days after. Because that's what's easy for him. However, that's very boring. I could tell you from being in the rehab, same breakfast every day, boring. In the rehab, the situation was that because I was on diet restrictions, gluten-free really is what it was, self-imposed diet restrictions, I didn't have a ton of choices. I just didn't. So it was like scrambled eggs with gluten-free toast when they had it available, with bacon, turkey bacon, or sausage. It's like all the varieties, you know. I couldn't have pancakes. I couldn't have French toast. They didn't have any gluten-free alternatives to that. Well, thank God I do at my house normally. We'll get to that as well. But even when he was working, I mean, what did he give me? All of, 10, 12 minutes in the morning before he went to work? Hey, I'm not trying to like pull this card that he's always like, my sister's like, you never pull the cancer card. And anytime I mention cancer, Jim's like, you're pulling the cancer card because they said something to him. Like, somebody said something in front of him, and now that's what the term that he uses. And I'm like, hey, look, I've got stage 4 cancer. Whether or not you believe me, you see that I can't do these things. 12 minutes is a lot. I know it's a lot of time for you in the morning, but that's not a lot of time for me to have of you during the day. So we do the best we can. We do the best we can. Mom supplements if something goes wrong, if I'm extremely thirsty that day, or like, especially in the winter when the heat's on, like the heat's on right now, and I'm extremely thirsty. She'll but she'll offer and get me water during the day and fill up. I have the 2 cups, but sometimes I even go beyond that. So, sorry, the water in my water machine is It's shaking like somebody hit it. That's so weird. Okay. Maybe it had a bubble. Okay. Sorry about that. Not to have a squirrel moment, but like it's moving in the corner of my eye. So the 12 minutes I get of my husband in the morning, honestly. Usually he says, what do you want for breakfast? He goes out there. 2 minutes later, he comes back with the coffee. Like 10 minutes, 7 or 8 to 10 minutes after that, he comes in with the breakfast. Depends on what it is. Some things take longer. And then he still goes outside. He doesn't eat with me. He goes and sits on the kitchen table, on his phone, eating his breakfast, drinking his coffee, without me. Now that's, some days I don't eat my breakfast right away, especially when I was in the height of having mouth issues, is that I couldn't eat hot food, so the food would sit here and have to become a little bit more room temperature. But when he was working, and then he would go to work, and granted he is working, and granted when he comes home, not only he has to take care of me and mom, but he has to do all of my job, all of my work too. However, I say that to tell you that he's not doing all my work. The expectation is there, but the follow-through isn't. And I'm not mad at my husband. I'm not belittling my husband. I'm not berating my husband. I'm just telling you my story. And I am saying to you that just because my care is enough and it's satisfying, it doesn't mean it couldn't be better. It doesn't mean it couldn't be more. Now, I do know, because I have male family members that were raised the same way we were, that it's not just a man-woman thing. Unfortunately, it's not. I have family members that come home from, they make their wife's breakfast because everybody goes to work. They come home from a long day of work. They go out and mow the lawn and clean off the patio and change over the laundry, and then, take a shower, come in, make dinner or eat dinner, whatever. I know that it exists. And maybe that's what makes it so hard. If you're a person who never knew that men could take care of their wives, then you probably wouldn't have any expectation of your husband taking care of you. Maybe. I actually have a relative who, while they were battling cancer, still did all the stuff they could to take care of their family. And I don't just mean financially. The things that, house care, lawn care, that type of thing. Now, I don't have that expectation from my husband because that wouldn't be right to basically put expectations on him. So this is my point, well, I have one more thing to say, and then go back to the beginning where I said to her in the comments, my family has a certain expectation of care that we give. That is one of the reasons why my sister Julie came here, because she knew that Jim's caregiving level to his spouse was not the care that they expect. And I was saying, somebody was like, what does your family want? Well, no, my family, that's why. I said, at the time I found out I was sick, my one sister had her son battling COVID. My other sister was getting ready to have major knee replacement surgery. And my third sister just became an empty nester, so she got in her car and she came here. She came here and she did everything she could for me. She also made me do stuff for myself like I do now, and Jim does too. But she knew I wasn't going to get that level of care that we would give, or that would make me feel loved, overly loved, or I don't even know how to say that, would make me feel a certain way. So she came to give me that and to show Jim how to do it. Like, basically, sometimes you learn from example. And when you're the sick person, like when Jim's sick and I take care of him, I don't know that he notices what I'm actually doing. Here's the thing. I mentioned earlier. Here's the thing I mentioned in the comment. I said to this person, I've been with my husband for 22. We've been married almost 22 years. August will be 22 years. 2 months, or a month and a half at this point, because it's already the end of May. No, that's 2.5. It's 3 months away. And almost because it's almost the end of May. Beginning of August. August 5th is our anniversary. Anyway, I said I'm going to be married to this person almost 22 years and with this person for almost 23. And still, to this day, we have an issue that resurfaces constantly. And now, when I can't live by example, it's actually gotten worse. So, the thing that my husband and I have been working on since we met each other. My husband's in the service industry. He's been his whole adult life. Even, I would like to say, even when he was a security guard, he was in the service industry. Not the same way he is since he's had, like, customer service industry. So my husband's been in the service industry his entire adult life. So he knows what it means to do something to care for somebody. You know, you come into his deli, how can I help you? What can I get for you? You come into his restaurant, is there anything I can do for you? What can I get for you? Do you need a menu? Do you want a drink? You go to, even when he worked at the gas station convenience store, you know, somebody would come up to the counter. What can I get for you? True story. True story. One of the things we've been working on at home for our entire relationship is, if I get up to make myself a cup of coffee, which obviously this is not something that has happened in the past 3 months, but if I get up to get myself another cup of coffee or get something from the kitchen, I always turn to the room and say, is there anything you want from the kettle? Is there anything you want from the fridge? Is there anything you want from the kitchen? Depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing. What time of night it is, that's another thing. I won't ask anybody if they're hungry, if they've just eaten dinner, like that kind of thing. I might ask, are you snacky? I ask him if he's snacky a lot, because sometimes he gets snacky after a meal. Anyhow, I always say, do you want anything from the kettle? Even though it's a Keurig, I said, do you want anything from the kettle? You want anything from the kitchen? And I sometimes get a yes, and I do it, and I get it, whatever it is. I mean, most of the time with Jim, if it's certain times during the day, he'd be like, I would love a sandwich, and I'll just make him a sandwich. And I'm like, hey, sandwiches are not a bad idea. I'll make myself one too. Now, I won't lie and tell you that the bread, the dressing, like the mayonnaise topping, the cold cuts, and the cheese are different for both of us. So if I make him a sandwich, I'm cutting out 2 meats, 2 cheeses, 2 types of bread, 2 types of dressings. And if we have lettuce, I'll have lettuce and he won't. And it doesn't make a difference. I'm going to the refrigerator to get out those cold cuts for myself. I'll just grab the other 2. I am opening 2 pieces of bread to put meat between them for myself. I'll just open 4 pieces of bread and put meat between them for you and me. So I don't care what it is. But I guess inevitably, you know, this is coming, and this is not a complaint. Like I said, this is just something we've been working on for our entire marriage, is that he will not do that. He won't get up and make himself a sandwich and not ask you. I mean, he won't even ask you if you want water. Like, he won't, nothing. He just is in his zone, doesn't really think about it. And to me, that's a big telltale sign of a disconnect. You know, but I always say to him, are you subconsciously mad at me for something? Like, even before the cancer, I used to be like, are you on your subconscious, like, mad at me for something? Because, like, you ignored my actual request, and then you did ask me all these, like, you never asked me if I want anything when you go get something to eat. And let me tell you something. When it's 11 o'clock at night, and we're getting ready for bed, and my tummy goes, and I don't even hear it until I listen, if that makes any sense. And he comes in with the sandwich. I'm like, that's a pretty nice looking sandwich. I think I could go for a sandwich like that. Now, I don't want to stop him from eating so he can go out and make me a sandwich, because that's ridiculous. So then I don't. But why didn't you ask me if I wanted a sandwich when you were making a sandwich? Even if you made me the same lousy sandwich that well, I don't think his sandwiches are lousy. His sandwiches are actually pretty good. But even if you made me a sandwich that's the way you like it, with your kind of cheese and your kind of meat and your kind of dressing, I would still be grateful that you thought of me. Now, am I saying in 23 years he's never thought of me? No. I'm saying in a week, I might get 2 or 3 times where he actually thought of me. That's a lot. And I'm not just talking like once a day for 7 days is how you know, the expectation of care. I'm talking about like most awake hours. I think of you most awake hours. Try to think of me or whatever. So back to Jim putting everything off until someone will do it for him. He's been doing that. Except there's nobody here who's going to do it for him. And then he gets upset about that. He internalizes that and becomes more upset with everything in this situation because there is nobody he can brush it off onto this time. It was like that at his job. You know, at his job, he got hired to work with somebody and they had, lost a bunch of staff. So they ended up moving her to a different location. And he ended up running the restaurant by himself for like, I want to say at least the last 6 months. Every day, 5 days a week, 9 hours a day, by himself. Nobody to kind of like rely on for his job. Nobody's really there. What am I saying? To rely on for to lean on in case of emergencies. I guess that was what I was trying to say, because I'm actually doing the action of leaning on somebody. But there's nobody there to like rely on or lean on in case you need, you know? So maybe he's gotten to the point, I'd say he's gotten to the point where maybe that's what it is. Like maybe because at work I don't get to brush my duties off onto anybody ever. Maybe I just won't do that at home. Your guess is as good as mine. Why? It just is what it is at this point. Yeah, it's kind of... I still love him like crazy. I tell him that every day. I'm not disappointed in him that he doesn't think of me. I'm disappointed in the situation. You know, that sounds like a cop-out, right? But I'm not. I get mad at the situation. Sorry, I'm having that tear thing. Yeah. So... the last thing I'll say, how I ended the conversation, was somebody said, what else? She said in the comments, what else is there that Jim can do for you? What else is there that Jim's not doing for you? And I said, as far as Jim not doing things for me, if you want to private email me, with this question, I will happily give you a list. And then I said, that's the one thing. He was like, would you really? And I was like, no. I was just saying it to be like sarcastic, meaning like, oh, what else can Jim do for you? He's doing everything. And I'd be like, you want it, like we say to each other, do you want it alphabetical or chronological? Like, how do you want that order? So, how do you want that answer order? I don't need before I was even married. And if like my brother-in-law, when my brother-in-law was in the hospital, he had knee surgery. It wasn't replacement. It was a tear in his ACL, I think. It was a long time ago. I went in there with like the pedicure kit and I did his feet, and his feet were really bad at the time from fishing or whatever. And I was like, I would rub lotion on his feet or rub his feet. He's in the hospital, rub his feet. And here I am. I actually have socks that say, if you can read this, rub my feet. But yesterday he actually rubbed my feet. And he rubbed my feet by default. So I think I told you guys that I was off the gabapentin and the neuropathy is really fired up. So one of the things that bothers my neuropathy is to actually not get my feet tickled, but to brush, skin gently over any of my feet. It kind of feels like it's hitting all of the nerve endings. And they're trying to attack your finger or something. So he kept doing it. I didn't have and I was warm a couple of days ago, and I would lay like this with the blanket just covering my booty, really. And then he would stick his paw out, and he would stick his hand out. Oh my God, I just started thinking of my creatine, and I said pour out. My goodness. I don't remember. I don't remember what I was going to say. Sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Maybe I'll wrap it up here. But just know that I love my husband. And part of what I'm trying to tell you this for is Look at what you have and look what you're getting. But don't forget what you deserve or what you want. It's really important. Um, keep that in mind for me. Okay? I love you. And if nobody told you today that you're loved, you can always come by and hear how much I love you. Do you guys see how sleepy I am? Because I really am. Oh, gosh. I love you guys. And as always, take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Bye.